All right, all right, all right. What's good? What's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. We're trying this again. I forgot to turn on my mic when I started the other one. So I just restarted the whole thing. All right. I'm my own production team. So I get it done. Today we're going to talk about the Detroit Pistons. But we're also going to talk about these Atlanta Hawks and Jonathan Kaminga. Both teams look to be headed in the right direction. Going into the All-Star break, post All-Star break, they've got some momentum. And yesterday, I watched the Detroit Pistons take care of the Orlando Magic. What an incredible defense that the Pistons have. Absolutely incredible. Um, Cade Cunningham looked great. Tobias Harris looked great. Guys were doing what they do. Some of the same holes, though, still kind of arose, but doing a much better job of being efficient on offense. You can really see their big three of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson really gelling and coming together. Now that Asar is being more confident, sure with the ball on the offensive end, finishing around the rim and making plays there, you really see that three. And then you also saw, the Detroit Pistons give up a whole lot of threes. It is what it is. And I'm going to get into the game and all that. But then when the game was over, basically what I expected to happen happened. Orlando lost steam offensively, which they do constantly. Um, and they couldn't keep up. So the Pistons put them away. So then now I'm scrolling on NBA League Pass and I'm looking at what other games are on. I see the Atlanta Hawks and they got my boy, Jonathan Kuminga. And for those of y'all who don't know about me and how I really got into basketball, like really watching and studying the game, but also really getting invested. I love the NBA. I didn't grow up with like college ball and all that. I watched the NBA. I watched Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, um, what's his name, Sam Perkins, Nate McMillan, and those Seattle Supersonics. I watched the Portland Trailblazers with Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells and Brian Grant and Arvydas Sabonis and all them guys. I watched Kobe and Shaq in the first rendition of their big three or I'm sorry, their big two and then later on with Paul Gasol and Andrew Bynum and Lamar Odom and Ron Artest. Like I watched basketball. I was watching it all. I watched Orlando with Grant Hill and Katino Mobley and Steve Francis after they were traded from Houston for Tracy McGrady, right? Like I just watched players that I love to watch. I watched really good teams. I watched teams that were even overlooked and didn't look that exciting because they had guys that I was interested in. So that is my kind of connection to the sport. I love the game itself. And then I love different players and how they play. Ben Gordon and guys like that, Charlie Villanueva when they were on the Pistons. And, guys I was really interested in, Rodney Stuckey, right? Reggie Jackson and Greg Monroe, guys like that. All that to say, all that to say. Jonathan Kaminga's been on a boy's radar. Been on your man 100 Grand's radar. Since his G League Ignite days, he was on my radar. In fact, when I did coverage for that draft, I said, you can go back and look. I said he might actually be the best player to come out of that draft. Now, of course, I didn't foresee Steve Kerr and his terrible coaching and inability to develop and all those things. But I looked at his physical tools and I was just awestruck. He reminded me of something of a supercharged Kawhi Leonard offensively. Extremely strong, extremely efficient, explosive, gets to his spots, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. With the positional size and athleticism, I said there's nothing anyone can ever do about this guy. So why wouldn't he progress in the way that I was projecting? Now, the rest is history. And now he's with the Hawks. And so I'm watching this game, just kind of watching the highlights. I'll probably dive more as time goes on. But I'm watching him hoop, and I'm like, Jonathan Kaminga's not 100%. CJ McCollum is still adjusting to the roster, to his teammates. Gabe Vincent still figuring out his role on the team. Jalen Johnson just getting back from a small injury, low strain. And I'm like, this team really isn't in its final form, and yet they are blowing the Portland Trailblazers out the water. Portland is a very good defensive team, giving us fits. Of course, they didn't have Denny Avdia, and they didn't have Shaden Sharp. But Scoot is back doing his thing. And they got Vic Krejci in the trade with the with the Hawks and whatnot. And I was still impressed with what Atlanta was able to do. And then when I'm watching Jonathan Kuminga, I'm watching this dude hoop. And I'm like, he had 70%. And he's dropping 20 and 7? 20 and 7 off the bench. 3 assists, 2 steals. Shot 70% from the field. 1 of 2 from the three-point line. 5 of 7 from free throw. He was a plus 20 on the night. And I don't know if y'all recall, I did a video and I said, the Detroit Pistons need to get into the Jonathan Kuminga sweepstakes. We have to. Because this guy can either be a huge boost for an Eastern Conference team to compete with us, or he can be a guy that sets us apart and we just pull the hell away from the entire pack altogether. Well, of course, we all know the rest is history. He ends up on the Atlanta Hawks. And, we pick up Kevin Huerter. Now, could we have gotten Jonathan Kuminga for Jaden Ivey? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe for Karis LeVert, guys like that. Who knows? Maybe we would have had to give up Paul Reed. Some contract fillers. Who knows? But I'm looking at this dude walk into 20 and 7 off the bench, 70% from the field. And he's not necessarily he's not trying hard. I'm not saying that he's not giving effort, but I'm saying offensively to score, to put in such a dominant performance in only his 3rd game with the Hawks after being out with the Golden State Warriors. Man. Now, we still have to see how it all plays out. But 20 and 7 is nothing to scoff at. Are the Atlanta Hawks a threat to the Detroit Pistons? I want to get into that in this video. But before I do, as always, do me a favor, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. So if you can, do me a favor, smash the like button. Also, consider becoming a member in 2026. Hit the little join button. There's different tiers of membership. Appreciate all the love and support, different members who come along. It really does help with the ongoing production of this channel. I really appreciate y'all. D-Boy, one of my members in the chat. What's good, bruh? What's good? It's good to see you. Salute, salute. Jonathan Peters, what's good? Kerr should be fired for the way he handled Kaminga. He has a history of mishandling young players. Yes, he does. James Wiseman included, and Jordan Poole. Classic 76, it's good to see you in the chat again. I've been peeping them, not trying to be in a dogfight in the first round with these cats. Oh, big facts. I'm going to get into that. I am going to get into that. And you mean to tell me we couldn't have gotten a Kaminga? Trajan dropped the ball. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. They traded Kristaps Porzingis. The Atlanta Hawks traded Kristaps Porzingis for Jonathan Kaminga and Buddy Hield. Porzingis, I don't want to be mean. He's dealing with injuries. I was going to call him a walking hospital patient, but he's always hurt. He is always hurt. And it's hard for somebody of his size to be playing the NBA game where you're running up and down the court at such speed, such constant motion for 82 games plus the playoffs. That's hard on your body, bro. Not everybody's body is meant for it. Jabari Parker, I don't think his body was meant for it. I think that's why he's going to be doing better overseas in the EuroLeague. Less games, more space in between, right? It's not as up and down transition, so you're not putting as many miles on your legs. Prevents injuries, more rest, etc., etc. The Golden State Warriors gave up Kaminga for a guy that was never going to be a part of their future. And there was only a small chance he was going to be a part of their present. Yep. Classic 76 says Kaminga was traded for a player that hadn't played all year due to a mysterious disease. True. Whatchamacallit. Antoine Johnson, what's good? It's good to see you in the chat. Sometimes teams don't want to trade with other teams, especially the Pistons, because they're already good. They're not trying to put us over the top. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't think the Golden State Warriors cared. They just didn't want him in the Western Conference. That was a reality. If they wanted to send him someplace, here's also the thing. Kaminga has the ability, I believe. I'm gonna check salaries real quick. Let me quickly do that. Go here. Been watching that Baki Hanma on Netflix on the new one. Switch over here. I don't know if y'all on Baki. Dope series. Let me see. Jonathan Kaminga. He's getting paid $22 million this year, $24 million next year. He has a team option for next year. Yeah, you already know, D-boy. Baki is this one is crazy. This one is crazy. All right. Jonathan Kuminga is on a 2-year deal at 23 years old. He's going to get a max salary in 2 years. I wouldn't be shocked if the team opts to keep him under contract for next season, but at the same time, they'll probably just extend him now. Because what they can't risk, what they don't want to risk, is that he gets to 2026, 27 summer free agency as an unrestricted free agent. And anybody can bid. That's Brooklyn. That's New York. That's the Lakers. That's the Clippers. Teams with deeper pockets, especially his father usually. Yeah. Big facts. Big facts. Big facts. Yeah. All right. The Atlanta Hawks, they have one. And this is why it's an interesting conversation about the Detroit Pistons because we have two really good players. We got Jalen Duren, we have Cade Cunningham, and they together are probably one of the most potent, formidable 1-2 punches. You saw that for the Orlando Magic to truly take away Jalen Duren, it opened things up for Cade Cunningham. And all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham is getting downhill, getting out in transition, taking advantage of his size in the open court, bullying smaller guys, finishing over and through and around him. Just the layup package is crazy. And we take care of the Orlando Magic, one of the better defensive teams in the league. It's all to say is that teams need a 1-2 punch. You need a legitimate 1-2 punch to make it through the playoffs. Not a 1. You need a 1 and 2. All right. The Dallas Mavericks got to the NBA Finals because they had 1 and 2. They had Luka and Kyrie. The Lakers won a championship because they had 1 and 2. They had LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They had 1 and 2. You got to have at least 2. And usually if you have a third guy, they play a more auxiliary role, right? And so you might as well split that contract up into 3 guys, and it's far more manageable in terms of contract flexibility and team salary cap flexibility, which is what the league is learning. Junior Ghetto, why didn't he work all that at Golden State? I think he had a coach that didn't want him. Steve Kerr's just not that as a coach, you know. Steve Kerr is not a developmental coach. He's not necessarily a strategist coach when it comes to X's and O's. He's not necessarily strong with his rotations. He has philosophy, and he showed the ability to manage guys and manage egos and get guys to buy in. But he's more of a management guy. Always has been. That's why the Phoenix Suns hired him as team president when the Phoenix Suns were putting together their teams. Um, and then so when Steve Kerr got the head coach job in Golden State, what's the first thing he did? He brought in a real head coach. He brought in Alvin Gentry. He brought in the guy who um, was the head coach when he was the team president in Phoenix. So he knew his system. He liked his system. He wanted his system. He brought him in to implement the system, which was smart. That was a management move. I wouldn't say he's Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson had his own system. Um, he had his own system. Steve Kerr was using someone else's system, which is why he doesn't know how to adjust it. He didn't know how to adjust it for Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, and the other guys. But it's just to say that the Golden State Warriors dropped the ball with Jonathan Kaminga because they weren't willing to move on from a coach that wasn't ready to take them into their future. They had the players, they had the young guys, not the coach, and they weren't willing to move on from him in the way that they were willing to move on from Mark Jackson to move into the next future, right? So it kind of talks about privilege there, right? But it's to say that we're looking at the Detroit Pistons and facing a team like the Atlanta Hawks over the course of a playoff series. This is what kind of registered to me. Atlanta has players in the right positions that can give us issues, that can give us fits. Onyeka Kongwu is one of those guys. Kongwu just finished shooting 7 of 12 from the three-point line. 7 of 12 with 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. That's what he just did against Portland. Against Donovan Clingan. 7'2", 7'5", 7'6" wingspan. He shot 7 of 12 from the three-point line. That's what he did. What that does to our team in a playoff series is it stretches us, forces us to play into an area of a lack of, well, let's just say that isn't our strength covering that three-point line, let alone from the center position. And then you throw in Jalen Johnson, throw in guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who prove that they can compete with us. You got CJ McCollum now, who's a playoff veteran, bona fide bucket, who could be a steady hand to settle them down. Gabe Vincent played in the Lakers, played with LeBron, played under pressure, played in the playoffs. You know he's going to knock down shots, play tough defense, play with the Miami Heat when they got to the finals both those years. I don't know about both those years, but for sure one of the finals runs. Jock Landale, Dyson Daniels, one of the greatest ball thieves I've ever seen, besides Mookie Blaylock and guys like that. Incredible ball thief. Put up 12, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. And then you get to Jonathan Kuminga. Now, of course, they still got Zachary Reese-Shea. They still got Corey Kispert, shooters, guys with length. They also have speed. And now they have a depth of speed. And in that depth of speed, I forgot to mention a Muhammad Gay, who's now out of the rotation because of Kaminga, which is not surprising. But I like him as a player. They still got Buddy Hield, guys like that. But all that's to say is the Atlanta Hawks have now become one of the deepest, most athletic teams in the NBA, right there alongside of the Detroit Pistons. And now they have another certified bucket. Actually, two. They've got two. Jonathan Kaminga, CJ McCollum. Put up 19 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists in 26 minutes against Drew Holiday. Might have you. You know, when I'm measuring these two teams, many times how I measure teams is I look at who's your best player, who's the other team's best player, who wins that, and by how much. Okay, then I go to the next guy. Who's the next best player? 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 And you have to tie in all the factors: defense, rebounding, playmaking, passing, shooting, scoring, um, basketball IQ, etc., etc. And then you look at styles of play. And the Atlanta Hawks match up extremely well with the Detroit Pistons. When I look at the best player, okay, you got Cade Cunningham, Jalen Johnson. And I wanna flash something because this is what came to mind for me. Jalen Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga, Cade Cunningham, all in the same draft. Why is that important to note? It's because when you're in the same draft, you tend to have a certain chip or edge about you when it comes to everybody who was in your draft class. Not that there's animosity, but more so you're always kind of peeking over at them and being like, man, I remember when I was busting his ass in the high school circuit, which for many times is true, right? You're either teammates like Cade Cunningham, Moses Moody, and Scotty Barnes were at Montverde Academy. Crazy roster. And Day'Ron Sharp. Crazy high school roster, right? But then you got guys like Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, Josh Giddey, Franz Wagner, who was hurt for the Magic last night, Davion Mitchell, Zaire Williams, who I still like. Yeah, guys like Josh Bouknight still trying to stick around the NBA. Corey Kispert was in that draft. Alperen Şengün, Trey Murphy III, Trey Mann, of course, Jalen Johnson, Keon Johnson, who's now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Isaiah Jackson, Quentin Grimes, Bones Highland, Cam Thomas, Jaden Springer, Day'Ron Sharp, Santi Aldama. This is all in the same draft. Probably one of the best drafts in recent history. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Deuce McBride for the Knicks. Ayo Dosunmu looks nice. Neemias Queta. Yo, that was a hell of a draft. Isaiah Livers, who we picked up. Damn, this was a draft. Delano Banton. Brandon Boston. Hey, this was a draft. This was a draft. This was a draft, bro. The reason why I bring that up is because these guys aren't scared of each other, bro. And it's not saying like most NBA players are scared of each other. They're not. But it's more so to say, yeah, 2021 draft. Yep. But it's more to say like they have a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove that they were just as good. Remember, in that draft class, in that high school class, sorry, the previous year, the high school class, Jonathan Kuminga was rated right up there with Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Johnson. Like that was a real thing. That was not this like, oh, it's clear that Cade is so much better than that draft class, that high school class, that All-American McDonald's U19 Team USA. Those dudes were looking at each other like, yeah, I'm just as good as you. I mean, you're good. I'm good too, though. So now you got Corey Kispert, Jalen Johnson, Jonathan Kaminga, who are all in the same draft class as Cade Cunningham. They're not going to be timid or intimidated. Now, I'm not saying Cade is either, because Cade got the same chip on his shoulder to prove, yep, I was supposed to be the number one pick the whole time. Y'all already know what's up. I appreciate that for him, from him. I appreciate that. I really do. Because we're going to need that energy. If we have to face an Atlanta Hawks team, this Atlanta Hawks team in the playoffs, and of course, it's always barring health, right? Because we know injuries happen, knock on wood, right? We know injuries happen, but healthy, both sides healthy. Atlanta's going to be a dog of a team to have to face. And Jonathan Kaminga is a major reason why. Because if you have Kaminga, 20 plus points per game, CJ McCollum, 18 plus points per game, Jalen Johnson, 20 plus points per game, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 18 plus points per game. And I want to pull up what Nickeil Alexander-Walker is averaging this season. Yep, 19.8 points per game. So you've got four guys who can get absolute buckets, over 20 points per game, walking into the playoffs. When I look at our team, we have great, amazing individual defenders. But collectively, we still have holes. And some of those holes, the Atlanta Hawks exploit. And we've seen it. One, they can shoot volume threes. Two, they move well without the ball. Three, they can hit the offensive glass. And four, they can defend at a high enough level to take away pretty much everybody else. Those are the four main components that make up our weaknesses as a team for the Detroit Pistons. Those are the four main components. Defending the three-point line, offensive rebounds, tracking off-ball movement, and our offense doesn't necessarily generate a lot of great looks yet. I think it's getting there with the Cade, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren trio. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. So in other words, people can really slow us down if they have a great defense. But usually, and this is kind of where it all kind of came together, usually what happens is we got that guy. We got Cade Cunningham. And y'all don't have anybody who can get buckets with him down the stretch. So you can stop us, we can stop you, and then it'll be a close game late in the game, and then we give it to our guy, and then our guy makes the plays that you can't. That's the reality. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Jonathan Kaminga can 100% get buckets. Would I take Kaminga over Ron Holland? Yes. Yes. Macklemore console? 100%. 100%. I love Ron. It is no knock to Ron. Look, it's no knock to Ron Holland. But there's levels to this. We've never seen Ron Holland in the starting lineup. We've never seen Ron Holland when we're asking him to put up certain points. We're asking him to carry the offense. We're asking him to make the right plays. We're asking him. We don't ask a lot from Ron Holland by NBA standards. I've seen What happens when people ask Jonathan Kaminga to get them 20 something points a game per game? Now I get it. He's not a finished product. And it might change in a couple years. It truly might. That is also true. Ron Holland might get there. I actually love Ron Holland's game. If you go back to the draft a couple years ago when we were drafting Ron Holland, I was like, this is our guy. I'm seeing what he's doing in the G League. I'm saying this transfers, that transfers, that transfers to the NBA level. It's going to be elite. He's going to be able to do that elite. I'm like, man, he could be another Jaylen Brown type of a player. In fact, I think I did a video where I said Jonathan Kaminga. Um, I want to say I might have included Ron Holland in that. Are going to be the next kind of Jaylen Brown prototypes. Elite, athletic, forward wings who can just get buckets, play with that high motor above the rim, but also with a lot of skill. They get downhill, north and south. Put them in the same group. But there's a big difference between a guy that we think is going to get there, that we hope is going to get there, and the guy who's already there. Uh, no, Ron Holland is not where Jonathan Kaminga was in year two. They had two very different roles. They're two very different players in a lot of ways in terms of offensive polish. Um, see, I wanted to check the age of Ron Holland. He's 20 years old. Okay, so Jonathan Kuminga is 3 years older than Ron Holland. Yes, I would take Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga to me is a player who you can roll the ball out there against absolutely anybody in whatever type of situation, and he's going to get you 20 points. And there's a big difference between a guy you think is going to become that, because I do. I think Ron Holland is going to be an elite player, meaning I think he's going to be a long term NBA starting wing perimeter player. I wouldn't be shocked if next season he's our starting shooting guard next to Cade Cunningham. I would not be shocked at all. I would also not be shocked if he's still coming off the bench with a more expanded role, which is probably more likely considering JB Bickerstaff's more conservative approach to developing guys. Right now, we don't depend upon Ron Holland to be a scorer. If he's scoring for us efficiently, that's a bonus extra. Like, that's like, oh, yeah, that's dope. He can score. Look at him go, right? Versus how come this guy only has 8 points? We needed him to get to 16. It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. The pressure, the defensive attention, all those things shift. Let me see. Savannah, what's good? What's good? Trying to get to the beginning of your question here. Um, is Kuminga a good defender? Yes. He is a defender. Okay. He's a good defender like Cade Cunningham is a good defender. When he gives the effort, he can make great defensive plays and he can be a really strong defender when he gives the effort and he's locked in. Also, because of the offensive load that both of them carry and their offensive talents, they oftentimes do not have the energy to play both ends to that level. Now, that changes in the playoffs, but for the most part, they tend to conserve some defensive energy for offense, especially as things get really competitive or when their load is bigger because other guys can't necessarily score at the same rate. So I appreciate that question, Savannah. Um, Let me say this. The Detroit Pistons matching up against the Atlanta Hawks. It is a fun matchup, a really fun matchup. A lot of athleticism. Shit, I'm just looking at this. Man, the Atlanta Hawks got Jalen Johnson locked up for the next 5 years. Wow, through 29-30 on a $30 million a year contract. Wow. 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 Jonathan Kaminga is definitely going to get a solid 35 million a year. He just is. At least 30. At least 30. But it's to say that when we look at these two teams matched up with each other, and it comes down to the wire, and it's bucket for bucket. Kuminga, Cunningham, Duran, Johnson. And then you think about the auxiliary scorers, CJ McCollum, Onyeka Kongwu, Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson. This is going to be one of those, could be one of those series. Could be short, it could be long. But every game is going to be close. Every game is going to be close. I don't foresee any blowouts. As long as they're healthy. I don't see any blowouts. So are the Hawks a threat to the Detroit Pistons? Let me just say, they could be. They could be. Who is going to stop Jonathan Kaminga? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Tobias Harris is not fast enough. I don't think Asar Thompson is yet strong enough. I could see I could see Cunningham guarding him. But I don't know if we want to risk the foul trouble. He really is one of those guys that is just a matchup problem. Yo, hey, Urquidez family, I've been saying the same thing about Kaminga for the longest. For the longest. But at the same time, Cade Cunningham is already him. And I think that the major difference is going to come in Cunningham has been the leader of this team. His team knows how to play off of him. The Hawks are still figuring out how to play with and off of Jonathan Kuminga. He's still trying to figure out how to play off of them. And so experience will play a major role. And like I said, both teams play a high level of defense, extremely athletic. And the Hawks exploit the Pistons in our main areas. But the Detroit Pistons also, like Macklemore Console just said in the chat, the Pistons also exploit the Hawks in very specific areas, mostly on the interior. The Hawks are not a very physical team. They aren't a team who can necessarily keep you from getting to the rim. That's what Porzingis was supposed to do. Wasn't able to do it because he couldn't stay healthy. Jalen Duran should easily have his way with Onyeka Kongwu. Should easily. But if Okongwu continues to shoot these threes at this volume, that can also create a problem for us as well. If he's shooting 7 of 11 from the 3-point line, If he's hitting 4 to 5 threes a game in the playoffs against us, that's going to create a problem. That's going to neutralize a lot of what Duran's doing. Which, and I don't know if you have noticed. I don't know if we've noticed this. Asar Thompson's getting back to defending the rim a lot more. I don't know if you all have noticed that. When he is off ball, JB Bickerstaff, you could tell it's a intentional thing. It's an intentional thing that they're now telling Asar Thompson, hey, you know what? If you're guarding the other team's best player and they switch, they get a screen, and now you're off on somebody else. And everyone keeps trying to pull Duran, our big man, out to the perimeter. If you're off ball and somebody drives, you come for it. Go straight up and go for that block. And now he's the rotating big. He's the rotating rim protector. And he's making a huge difference. He's making a huge difference. I think we have players play at such a high level, and our collective set of players on the defensive end has such an ability to really shut the water off from most teams. Are we going to completely stop Kuminga, CJ McCollum, Jalen Johnson? No. Can we slow down to a halt everybody else? Yes. 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 So this is going to be a nip and tuck type of a matchup. I think we would have the better coach. I think the Pistons would have the better coach in a series against the Atlanta Hawks. But we also have to make sure that Cade Cunningham is staying off the ball in terms of bringing the ball up in the half court set because he gets too turnover prone. And that really supercharges the Atlanta athletic transitional offense, same way it does ours. They have guys like Dyson Daniels and Reese Shea and Jalen Johnson and Nikhil Alexander Walker and Gabe Vincent, right? These guys, Jonathan Kaminga, who can get into passing lanes and get those deflections and steals and get out in transition for easy buckets. That's another area of weakness for us, right? I mean, I stay it Truel in the chat. I respect that. I respect that because I do think that there is a clear differentiation between the team that's been number one all season, had a great playoff series last year, and a team that's still trying to even get into the playoffs with the Atlanta Hawks. Right? They're currently in the play-in. They're looking up at, I think they're looking up at Charlotte, looking up at Orlando, they're looking up at Miami, Philadelphia, of course, Boston and New York and Cleveland and Detroit. Right? So they're just trying to get into the playoffs at this point. So there's a big difference in terms of team identity and execution, cohesiveness. So I do think that there are those other components that really separate us from them. When I say us, I mean the Detroit Pistons from the Atlanta Hawks. But if I had to choose, I would take Charlotte over Atlanta any day because Charlotte's not going to play D. I mean, they've got some good defenders, but they have too many guys that they have to choose. Either they're getting defense or offense from them, and that's never a good look. You don't want to feel like you have to choose between a guy who can give you minimal defense, like LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Kobe White, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Trey Mann. Right? These are the guys who are more known offensive players for that team. But then their defenders, they struggle with the offense. Musa Diabate, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Sion James, Xavier Tillman, Liam McNeely, Tijan Salon. All right. Grant Williams, Josh Green. Like these guys are not expected to carry the offense, but they're expected to play great defense. Well, I don't know about McNeely, but either way, I'd probably rather have the Charlotte Hornets. I also don't trust LaMelo Ball's game in the play-in or playoffs. But I do think that this makes the Atlanta Hawks a threat. And when I say a threat, I mean you're one significant thing not going your way before you're in the fight of your life, right? You're that close. Like, keep in mind, Atlanta's only a game and a half behind Orlando and Miami. And they're actually a half game ahead of Charlotte right now. Okay. So that's the correction there. Savannah May. Yep. I'm excited to have Stu back tomorrow, too. I actually want to see if we go with some bigger front court lineups with Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed together. I really want to see if we do that. I think that can be solid gold for us. And as much as I love seeing Karis LeVert yesterday get downhill and stop playing with the ball, stop playing with his food, and just get straight to the rim, I like Paul Reed more. I like Paul Reed more. And if we can get a Chris Middleton in the buyout, if he gets bought out, ends up in Detroit, bro, bro, oh my goodness, bro. He's a better version of Tobias Harris. That's who Chris Middleton is. He's a notch above Tobias Harris. If he's in great shape, if he's ready to rock, hell yeah. Coming off the bench next to Isaiah Stewart, between Ron Holland, Javante Green, and Dennis Jenkins, let's go. Let's go. Macklemore Console says Middleton is staying in Dallas. I I just heard that was news. I heard it was like, oh, he could be staying in Dallas. Let me look it up real quick. Uh, oh, it says real GM. He's not going to seek a buyout. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Jen Lena says the Hawks don't defend one-on-one good. I peep they don't usually fight over screens. Well, I'll say this about the Atlanta Hawks in that regard. I think the Atlanta Hawks are a really good team. I do think that Nikhil Alexander Walker being that number 2 scorer, 20 points per game, I don't think that's where he's best used. I think Nikhil Alexander Walker is best as probably a number 3 scorer, if not 4. If I'm honest with you, probably his best role would be next to CJ McCollum, Jalen Johnson, Jonathan Kaminga, Onyeka Kongwu. The primary scorer is Jonathan Kaminga. The second primary scorer, Jalen Johnson. Then CJ McCollum. Then Walker. And double O, Onyeka Kongwu. I think that type of a starting lineup has balance. And I think you begin to see more of an effort defensively to lock guys up. We know that Nikhil Alexander Walker, Onyeka Kongwu, Jalen Johnson, even Jonathan Kuminga can be strong individual defenders. And they could probably switch a lot as well. But I think that has to happen over time. They also still have Dyson Daniels. They could bring in Dyson Daniels for CJ. They'll lose some shooting, but they'll gain an incredible defender who moves really well without the ball. I think the defense takes a jump. When you've got another guy who can get you 20 plus points per game, it takes the pressure off everyone else to try to do more and allows them to redirect that energy into other areas, primarily defense. Now, is Quinn Snyder the coach to bring it all together? We'll see. Who knows? I mean, I think just looking at Damon Smith comment here, he's saying I was just looking at the bottom of the East earlier today, thinking the same. The Hornets, Hawks, Magic could be a tough first round matchup. Oh 04 Billups 90 says I want them all. Pistons going to finals. I love that energy. Hey, I'm probably right there with you, bro. I honestly the only team I'm actually really worried about, like really concerned about, it's probably the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's probably the Cleveland Cavaliers. I love what Durham was able to do against them. Still concerned with Evan Mobley's defensive impact. Um, and I am curious what it's going to look like with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden alongside of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Their ability to stagger two dynamic 1-2 punches in the playoffs, if healthy, which is a huge if because they're never healthy. But their ability to do that, that probably gives me the most pause for concern. Yeah. Well, I would say to those teams you mentioned on the bottom of the East, the Hawks are probably the team that I'm most concerned about. I'm not concerned about Orlando. They don't have enough offense. They don't have enough flow. In fact, I think Jalen Suggs, as much as people can like him as a player, he's their Marcus Smart. He's their Marcus Smart in comparison to the Boston Celtics. He's the guy they'll have to move on from in order to bring in what they need to put this thing together between Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. But it's going to be something to keep an eye on, if I'm honest with you. Speaking of keeping an eye on, I see we got 56 people in the chat, only 22 likes. If you could do me the favor, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for you, big thing for the channel. All right, big things for me in this channel. Just smash a little like button, just a little press, and consider becoming a member in 2026. Hit the join button. It's different tiers of membership. It really does help with the ongoing production of this channel. I am definitely going to be paying close attention to Jonathan Kaminga and the Atlanta Hawks. Um, he said take some calls. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know how to do that yet, bro. If I did, I'd probably do it. Uh, bad hombre. But yeah, man. Um, Detroit basketball, Detroit Pistons. I'm excited about this year. We continue to march towards 55 to 60 wins. Um, I think I think the Pistons are Eastern Conference Finals bound. I think we will have the toughness, the identity, the guys who step up in the right moments enough to get out of round one and round two. And the Pistons will be ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, if a Jason Tatum comes back, I mean, 04 Billups, I want to get to that comment. I want to get to that comment right after. If Tatum comes back and he's a passable starter, meaning he can knock down shots, he's going to rebound, defend, He's physically able to play, even if he's not like the dynamic one-on-one scorer. I say we still get through the Boston Celtics, but that would give them another wrinkle to that team. Having the two-headed center monster rotation of Neemias Queta, um, and Nikola Vucevic, I think that gives them more size, depth to be able to control the boards, which they need for us. Um, they'll be formidable for sure. I just think that we have more of what translates to the playoffs, which is the defense, the rebounding, interior scoring, identity, trust, cohesion than most teams. Um, but yeah, let me get to your question before I hop off. Let me see. Where's he at? Oh, for Billups. Why do you think Herter gets no minutes? He should have played when Duncan was cold last night. Here's the thing. What is Kevin Herter giving us that's greater than what Javonte Green is giving us? Dennis Jenkins is giving us. Ron Holland is giving us. I like Kevin Herter as a player. I think he can just play basketball. He knows how to move without the ball. He knows spacing. He knows timing. He sees the angles. Very selfless. He's a ball mover. Swings the ball. Gets to the boards. He defends. But his 3-point shot kind of abandoning him this year makes him more of an unknown liability. And when you're thinking about taking away minutes from guys who have already proven themselves, remember, most of this roster, they've proven themselves. We've had more than enough injuries for guys to have to step up, and they have. Who do we sacrifice their minutes for to insert Kevin Herter? It's a real question. Kevin Herter is not certified. He's not a 5-10 year starting player. Maybe hits a all-star game here and there. He's never been that guy. So if Duncan Robinson is struggling with his shot, we got Javonte Green. We got Karis LeVert. We've got other guys. Yeah, Macklemore, once again, you're right. You're on a roll. Karis LeVert is the weakest link, but he's also a dog that JB likes. It's the perfect way to put it. Perfect way to put it. Karis LeVert has gone out pretty much almost every night and given great effort every single time he's out there. I don't think I can remember a time where Karis LeVert looked like he wasn't giving effort and trying. Now the turnovers drive me crazy. Um, his tendency to over dribble drives me crazy. Um, initiating our offense, oh God, it's so ugly. But JB Bickerstaff trusts him. Can he take Karis LeVert's spot? Yeah. Will he? I don't know. I don't know. Well, I agree with you need dogs to go out there. The Detroit Pistons are not going to war. That's the US, but that's another that's another conversation. Damon Smith says Sasser disappointed in the Cavs game. I doubt if we'll see him again. I don't think he disappointed. I think he made a lot of good plays. I think it's extremely hard to stay ready when you don't know when your name is going to be called. And more nights, more often than not, it's not called. And so Marcus Sasser, I said before, I felt bad for him because he was clearly caught off guard. He wasn't ready. And a part of that has to have been his inconsistent playing time. Uh, and the situation. He was thrown into a heated game against a really good team. And he was asked to be ready to get buckets and defend. He defended, wasn't able to drop his shots, but the shots still look good. The shots still look good. The 3-point shot in the corner looked good. The pull-up shot that he created for himself on the short right wing looked good. Just didn't drop. Okay. The 2 turnovers, they looked really bad. Some of that was his fault, some of it wasn't. But played great perimeter defense, which is really what we needed. Also wanted some more offense, but when you put a guy in that hasn't played the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games in any type of seriousness. But I will say this though, Marcus Sasser, when you get into the games in garbage time, bruh, go to work. Go to work. Stop trying to find a way to get into the flow, deferring to everybody else. Go to work. Like, you should be looking like Peyton Pritchard the moment you step foot on the court, bro. You're either putting up shots, you're getting to the cup, creating for yourself and others, but you're definitely not just jogging up the court and deferring. Marcus Sasser, you are going to have to flip that switch. I know it's great to be a part of winning. Tolu Smith, you as well. It's great to be a part of winning, but you have to show you can make an impact the moment you touch foot on the court. The moment you step foot on the court. And even if it's garbage time, you got to eat them up. You have to eat them up. Stay sharp. You got to find something enjoyable about the minutes you're out there so you can maximize them. So you can be a constant reminder to JB Bickerstaff and his coaching staff that he is ready to go. This guy can play big. That means you got to rebound, get some steals, lock down defense, knock down threes, get to the rim, create your own shot, look sharp, look smooth, look ready. But I get it. It's got to be disappointing for Marcus Sasser, even though I'm sure he's rooting for his boy. More than one thing can be right at the same time. McLemore, you're right. Yeah, that's why B-Ball Paul is so impressive. D-Boy, yo, was good. Sasser should get more minutes, but he has to, it's his mentality right now. I think he's in a bit of a slump. Not a slump in terms of like shooting, etc. He's more in a slump like emotionally, I think. It's really hard for NBA players to not get playing time, to not see the floor. You have to understand, like, these guys were him for their entire lives, bro. I don't know how many of y'all have ever been him on a court before. Have walked into the gym and everyone went, there he goes. Whatever team he's on is going to win the next 3 to 5 games until he steps off the court. I don't know how many of y'all have ever been that guy. But when you've been that guy for a lifetime in your prime, and then all of a sudden you get told you're not playing at all. At all, bro. That's got to be tough, man. That's got to be tough. That's got to be so tough. Just mentally. Mentally. And these are the moments because the reality is there's not much that Marcus Sasser has to work on to improve. Yeah, sure, he could be a better table setter, but that's he needs minutes for that, and he's not going to get it. Not with the Detroit Pistons. But he can shoot. He can score on all three levels. I would say all four levels because of his range. Dynamic playmaker, shot creator, scorer, great perimeter defender. He's in shape. He's healthy. There's not much he has to work on. So it's not like he can use his time to work on something specific. He just has to get that killer in him because that's what propelled Dennis Jenkins. Dennis Jenkins, when he came into the game this season, at the very beginning, at the onset, he was in demon mode. Straight kill shots. He was coming at your neck the moment he stepped foot on the court. Marcus Sasser was trying to play his role. He also started off hurt, so that definitely set him back because he was supposed to come in and be that first guard off the bench, not Dennis Jenkins, but he was hurt at the beginning of the season. So I feel for him there as well. All that's to say is that's the situation he's found himself in. I think he figures it out. I think he sticks around in the league, but he has to make the most of any opportunity he gets. That's the game he's playing. Now, if he goes to the G League, he could be a G League All Star. He goes to Europe, he's probably going to be a EuroLeague, Spanish ACB MVP. That's how good he is. That's how good he is. And he's 25 years old, too. But look, I'll leave it at this. Jonathan Kaminga has raised the ceiling for the Atlanta Hawks. Completely has. I think this team is dangerous. I think the Hawks are going to finish the season really well. I would not be shocked. And let me check the standings again, just to be sure. I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta gets out of the play-in and they get to the number 6 seed. I mean, they're only 3 games behind Philadelphia. How much do we really trust Joel Embiid to stay healthy? They're leaning a whole lot on Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Quentin Grimes to carry the offense. Kelly Oubre over there. Orlando, injuries, of course. Philadelphia's 4-6 in their last 10. I think Toronto stays around this position, around the 5 seed. Um, wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland doesn't leapfrog New York. Boston still being the number 2 seed is just wild to me. It's crazy. 8-2 in their last 10. It's like, wow. Like, just for real. It's pretty incredible. Um, but I would not be shocked to see Atlanta not fly their way out of the play-in, force Philly into it, or at least be the 7th seed. Only a game and a half from the 7th seed, from the 9th seed. 3 games from the 9th seed to the 6th seed. Can happen real quick. Can happen real quick. Savannah in the chat says Boston has some good players. Helps that they also have multiple champs on the team. They also have championship pedigree. These are guys who understand how to win at the highest level. They know how to execute under pressure, and they do it night in and night out. Sometimes it's about knowing how to win more so than having just great talent. But in the playoffs, I think they're going to have some good games where they're hitting a lot of threes. I do think they have more games, especially against a team like the Pistons, where they have games where they can't find a bucket. They can't find a three. Norin Radar, yo, what's good? What's good? New subscriber because I remember you as a fellow ally through draft messages on NBA Draft Junkies. Oh yeah, what's good, man? What's good? And locked on NBA Draft posts. Glad you're moving up. Ah, I appreciate that, man. Love, love. Yeah, I love doing draft content. This is gonna be a great draft. Probably more to come as March Madness ensues. Usually, I would have been talking about the draft a whole lot more, but the Pistons being the number one seed gives us a whole lot to talk about, and there's so many things changing on this team. Solo Ace 88 says Sasser has a tougher task coming in off no reps, being undersized and expected to be a point of attack perimeter defender while needing to be a shot creating offensive player. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hear my take on this, and I might do a short video on this. Marcus Sasser now is in a position where he can be more of himself than he was preparing to be going into this season. Let me explain that. Marcus Sasser is a bucket, and he's a dog on defense. And his shot creating ability, absolutely elite, along with his scoring prowess to get downhill, get to the rim, get to his spots. And he's a great shooter, can knock down threes. And he's a dog on defense. He's going to compete. Does a great job protecting that perimeter three-point line. Now, here's the thing. The reason why he struggled to get minutes last year is because we needed him to be who Dennis Jenkins is. That's what the team needed last season, was for him to be what Dennis Jenkins is already. That's why Dennis Jenkins was able to leapfrog him this season, along with starting off the year hurt. Now that we have substantiated, solidified, entrenched Dennis Jenkins into the rotation, now the guy he's looking to overcome is not Dennis Jenkins. It's Karis LeVert. Considering the chemistry between Dennis Jenkins and Marcus Sasser, they might, chemistry-wise, be a better combination and defensively wise. Karis LeVert struggles communicating off the ball, screens, screen navigation. He gives good effort. He has great positional size, but the footwork, the quickness, the anticipation, the defensive IQ, um, I would say he's a lot lower on that scale. I wouldn't name him as one of our better defenders on this team at all, not in the least bit. In fact, he's probably one of the worst defenders on our team. All that's to say is, if Marcus Sasser can be more of who he's always been and just be a bucket, especially when he's lined up with Dennis Jenkins, who's going to find him? Who's going to find him? They've got great chemistry, so they're going to find each other. And they trust each other. And that goes a long way, because when you're playing with your partners, you just shoot better. Everybody knows that. You playing with your boy, you shoot better. You feel more comfortable. Right? Your boy is looking for you in the spots he knows that you can knock down shots, and your boy believes in you, bro. Your boy believes in you. He throws you that, go get it, because he knows you can go get it. Somebody else might be like, you sure you can get it? And a little hesitation makes a difference. Now you hesitating, now he don't really throw it. It's just a bounce pass instead of a lob. You know what I mean? Like, chemistry goes a long way. But Marcus Sasser, mixed in with guys like Cade and Jenkins and Asar Thompson and Duran, now can actually fall into a more natural role, which is just to be a bucket and a playmaker. But he has to step onto the court with that Peyton Pritchard mentality. The moment I get on the court, I'm coming for blood. I'm coming for blood. I'm trying to kill everybody in front of me. And he's got that in him. That's who he's always been. So I'm looking forward to seeing if Sasser can do just that. I think I'm gonna do a short video on that after this, just so we can keep that conversation going a little bit more. But hey, I'll always like to leave y'all with something at the end of my lives. If you haven't already, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. This is an interactive live channel. Definitely hit the bell for notifications. I do like a lot of surveys, a lot of questions to y'all to answer, and we dialogue offline through the comment section as well. And definitely consider becoming a member in 2026. Hit the little join button. Goes a long way to the sustainability of this channel. The word of the day, I would have to say something that kind of falls in line with the whole Marcus Sasser thing, right? Is how do we stay ready through seasons when it looks like we are not getting the opportunities that we want or that we hope to get? And this could be relationships. Maybe you're single, been waiting to meet somebody. Maybe your dream job just always seems to be in front of you. Maybe your opportunity on your sports team or what have you. There are seasons of life that we all go through where what we're desiring to experience in our life just doesn't seem available to us. Maybe there are significant things blocking us. But how we respond in those seasons, many times, is the difference between us becoming ready or prepared for the next opportunity. Because the reality is sometimes we think we have so much control in our lives. We think that we can say, oh, if I do all this stuff, then it's going to happen. The reality is sometimes the opportunity is going to come whether you're prepared or not. The opportunity is going to be there whether you've been working on your game or not, whether you've been growing as a person, whether you've been maturing, whether you've been working on those parts of yourself that you know you maybe haven't looked at in a long time. Maybe you haven't worked on your communication skills or your anger management. Maybe you haven't gotten any mental health and worked through the shit that you've been through as a kid. Maybe you haven't uh, worked on certain expertise that makes you more marketable for certain positions that you might want. Whatever it is, what you focus on during those seasons where you're not achieving what you're desiring, many times is what is going to impact that next moment that comes to you, that next opportunity. Similar, Marcus Sasser got in unsuspectingly against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Had he made those shots, we're having a very different conversation today. More than likely, JB Bickerstaff will go with the hot hand. Let's give that to JB Bickerstaff for sure. JB will go with the hot hand. If Sasser tears up Cleveland when he comes in the game, let's say he gets 8 points, 12 points, 2 assists, doesn't turn it over, great perimeter defense. All of a sudden, he's going to have a hard time playing Karis LeVert over him. All of a sudden, now Karis LeVert's he's just looking over his shoulder like, yo, if I'm slipping at all, the moment I turn the ball over, this dude's coming in. Right? It shifts his positionality in terms of the opportunity that he's looking for. Many times, that's how it is in our lives as well. We don't always see it, though. It's not always as plain as watching a game, but it's there. You may not be in a relationship now, but if you're working on your communication skills, how do you remain vulnerable and communicate your thoughts and feelings and deal with your anger and be able to set boundaries and right and be responsible and consistent, right? If you're working on that while you're single, then all of a sudden when you find an opportunity for a relationship, those things are exuded from you. Those things show up and it can create an opportunity or it can allow you to step into that opportunity and find success to make that connection where you may not have before. Now, it doesn't guarantee because, like I said, you can't control it in that way. But what you're doing in the meantime matters. And so, this is what I would recommend. This is what I would encourage to all of us: is to stay focused on the long game, stay focused on our goals, stay focused on growing ourselves and improving, because that will always pay off for you. Whether you get what you're looking for, where you're at, or where you're going to next. With that, I got to get out of here. This was a fun live. We have who do we have coming up? Schedule. Let me see. Up here. Gumby 7. Yo, it's good to see you, Gumby, back in the chat. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Next, we have coming up Tuesday, March 3rd. We've got the Cavs again. Ooh, tomorrow. 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 We got the Cavs. And then it's a back-to-back. We got the Spurs. Damn. Oh no, it's not a back to back, but it's the following Tuesday, Thursday. We got the Spurs. Okay, okay, okay. All right. The next 2 games, y'all. During. All right, you took a game off against the Orlando Magic. We gonna need that magic right back against the Cavs and the Spurs because you were instrumental. You were instrumental in us staying in those games. It's gonna be interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see Donovan Mitchell, James Harden in those games as well. All right, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna get at y'all next time. It's your man, 100 grand. Ross with the Rock Never Stops. And I'm gonna get at y'all next time. Peace.